SCP-5830 and might as well, go into the deepest and find out its secret, right? And then, once we're done, then we can come out, basically, right? So, yeah, to recap, in the previous part, we were told about the story of Dr. Daniel Morehouse, right? Um, I think he is one of the researcher. I think, and then basically he tried to understand what this SCP has, right? Like, what's the characteristic of this SCP, right? And then he was not alone. Obviously, he explored this cave along with Kupik and Erika. In the mid of their expedition, Erika fled, or Erika just gone. We are not sure if Erika actually escaped, or Erika just fled and ran away because she was in terror. She felt scared or something like that, right? Or if, as some kind of like animals kidnapped Erika, right, and then killed her, maybe, right? We're not sure just yet. So Erika was gone, right? And then there's only Kupik and Dr. Daniel. But Kupik kinda like getting unhinged, I guess. And then he made them end up in a dead end, basically. So I was wrong. It was not a loop, but it was just a basic dead end, right? So I stand corrected, but it's fine, I guess. But it will be actually very cool if like if it's actually a loop, going in from one branch, and going out of the other branch, right? From the same branch. So like that would be cool, honestly. Like, it can make them very confused, right? But yeah, I guess they don't use that, so it's fine. Well, we'll just accept that it's a dead end, right? Okay, so SCP-5830-1, or the branches, the different branches from the normal branch over there, that has actually dead ends, right? So yeah, that's about it. Um, so only Kupik led them into a dead end, and then there they found someone like sitting and crying, right, making a pose of crying. But he was actually not crying. He was just like uh, it was like a statue, basically, right? And then Kupik, without thinking, like thought that he could eat whatever it was, like committing cannibalism, like that. And he just stabbed this person, right? But they didn't know that it was actually a duplicate of SCP-73, um, which was either Abel or Cain, right? And they had one of them had the power where, if someone did something to them, instead they will receive it, right? Like, it's basically like a counter, right? Or return, basically. And Kopek stabbing this SCP-73, the duplicate of it. He instead received the stab himself, and probably he was bleeding, and then he died, right? And then like, at this point, Daniel felt miserable, right? He didn't do anything and just gave up, and then he died there as well, like a little bit 4 days later, or 6 days, or a week, right? But yeah, that's about it. Basically, we know that their expedition was done very poorly, very terribly. They made a lot of mistakes, and they were inexperienced, right? But yeah, that's about it, I guess. Now we are going into the interview log 5830-C, dash C, I mean. Um, Interview with Dr. Hans Knudsen. Begin interview. Dr. Wainwright. Knudsen. Hans, yes. How are you feeling? Tired? Very tired. Apologies, doctor. We'd like to tidy up this whole fiasco quickly, if you can understand. Yes, of course. Let's start from the beginning then. When did you are um May 29th. We came from Tromsø with another crew that stopped off in Reykjavik. Okay, so first, Knudsen was supposed to be the one that is like in the outpost outside the cave, right? They were supposed to be like communicating with, for communicating with Dr. Daniel, I think, to like like to make a warning if something like a bad weather happening, right? But obviously like their communication was turned off, like because of the cave probably. So yeah, and this is probably the aftermath of that, right? Like Knudsen waited, and then they didn't, he didn't see like either Daniel, Kupik, or Erika returning from the cave, right? So yeah, I guess this is from there. May 29th, okay, Reykjavik. And who all were members of your crew? It was Morehouse's crew, really. He organized the expedition back in March. And who? Five research assistants from I guess Greenland University. I guess two of them my students, three of them were houses. We had an additional three crew members from Zegenberg Station and one local from Denberg to serve as a navigator and translator. How do you know Dr. Morehouse? Oh, okay. Wait a second. So we know that they were not alone, right? So where were they? They were not told at all. Maybe they were like again with Knudsen probably in the outpost outside the cave probably, but yeah, I'm not sure about that. How do you know Professor Colleague? Though I've known him since graduate school. We both studied at Oxford, Cambridge. No, it's too much and too few letters. College and went on to pursue academic positions in the States. States, okay, from the US probably. He got a spot at something, while I had to settle for a position in Sweden, or maybe Europe, right? Who knows? We met up again when someone invited me as a visiting professor. Nice guy, though a bit pretentious at times. Um, you took up some students during the time. Who were they? Erika Parsons and Alec Oltoski. Do you know Morehouse's students? Yes, though not well. Kevin, David, Victoria. Oh, I don't remember her last name. There is a pause. Knudsen continues to try to remember the name. That's fine. Can you talk about what happened after arriving at Denberg? Yes, we made a small station just outside of Denberg. The locals didn't really care for us, but didn't mind us either. We told them what we were there to do through a man called Kupik, and they lent us some supplies and a shotgun for polar bears. What were you there to do? The original goal was to set up some weather stations up north to track warming over the next 6 months and collect some ice samples. Your original goal? Well, we still succeeded in it for the most part. Some of the stations got knocked out by a blizzard, but for the most part, we did what we needed to do. So, why do you say? Morehouse insisted on some additional studies. We saw signs of massive calving in the area, and lots of glacial caves and alcoves and such. Morehouse is a geologist at heart and was adamant that we dedicate at least a bit of our extra time to them. Did you? Yes, of course. Morehouse led a few parties with Erika and David to examine some rock samples along the glacial cliffs. Erika's primary background is geology too, and I would guess David's as well. I kept the others for our usual operations. How did Morehouse come to arrive at that cave? We both spotted it on one of our last days out of Denberg. We stopped by it to look around and saw that it was rather large. We all took a look around the entrance and Morehouse said he would love to spend a day or two there if it could be allowed. Erika agreed. And I take it you obliged? Yes. I asked Kopik if he could join them in case they needed to navigate back to Denberg on their own, and he agreed. The three of them set out, and the rest of us went to secure the last weather station. Ah, I see. We gave them from that morning until we return the evening tomorrow. Um, I think it was a bit of a non-professional adventure for them too. Did you want to join them? Yes, a part of me did. More parts of me are glad that I didn't. Knudsen's speech begins to sound more forced and creaky. What happened when you returned to the cave? We waited. We hoped they were making their way out. David insisted on looking in a bit farther to find them, or maybe a trace of them. Victoria followed him in, and Alec and Kevin, and the rest of the crew and myself elected to stay outside. I said, David, before he went searching, to call out to us every few minutes, and we'd call a reply. If we weren't in earshot, turn around. Seems sensible. Okay, it is if you obey it. They didn't. After half an hour, I called and received no reply. We tried 6 more times with no luck. None of us were about to do the same thing again and go in after David and Victoria, so we continued to wait. For how long? 3 hours, until a blizzard began to roll in. We couldn't keep waiting around, and we weren't about to hole up in a cave and worry the crew back in Denberg. We elected to trek out and work to form a search party later when the weather was in our favor. Where did the search party set out? The Sirius Patrol set out with their dog sleds 2 days ago. You and your crew showed up only 5 hours in. Lucky that we did at all, I suppose. There is a pause as Wainwright reviews his recent notes. Dr. Knudsen, if I be so frank, I do believe your handling of the past 3 days is best described as careless. We've only recorded corpses after all. Are you a police officer, Dr. Wainwright? No, I do, however, have permission from authorities from the Danish government and Nalakersuisut to conduct all efficient or all sufficient methods of investigation during my time here. For scientists, an Inuit tracker don't just die only miles from their station, especially with radio tracking available the entire time. Not to be insolent, Doctor, but our GPS capabilities were interrupted during the trip back to Daneburg. We probably hiked about 5 miles while off the grid. Records from Zegenberg shows otherwise. Knudsen is silent, appears nervous. Doctor, Knudsen attempts to run from the room, is immediately apprehended in the hallway. End of interview. Oh, okay. Um, okay. There is a lot of information over here. Okay, so first thing first, we know that they were not there for this SCP. They don't know that this was actually an SCP just yet, nor even the SCP Foundation haven't considered this as an SCP in the first place. They were there to like fixed weather station, I guess, one in Denberg and one in the cave. I'm not sure, but yeah, like basically their first intention was not to discover this SCP. There was no SCP at all, to be honest. So, like this was neither an SCP, right? Until then, they labeled this as an SCP. But yeah, they were there just for like either geology stuff with the cave, and then the other party, like doing something to fix the weather station, right? Because like there's like blizzard, right? But yeah, which is unfortunate, right? Because they're only like a crew of 8 or something like that, like only few people, right? And then unfortunately only 3 of them actually went inside the cave, right? um and then Knudsen was also relieved that he was actually about to accompany them, and then was lucky that he didn't, because he would have been dead as well, right? And then the rest of the party, uh, like Knudsen said over here, we waited, right? And then a few hours later, I think, um, like they just send more people in, right? Like I don't know how many, but yeah, like they basically went in, right? Like like few people, but Knudsen still stay in the station, right? And then they were also lost there, right? And I would just assume that they were also dead, right? And then for the third time, um, Knudsen tried to send people in as well. This with people and their dog sleds, right? But luckily, Dr. Wainwright actually showed up 5 hours before that, right? So, he said lucky that we did at all, I suppose, because if not, then Knudsen will just, basically like will basically fit more people to die in the cave, right? Which is unfortunate. But yeah, since Wainwright is here, then like that. And then of course they have GPS, and then here, I don't know what's going on over here. Knudsen seems to be a little bit worried, right, or nervous, um, because their GPS, the records from Zuckerberg show otherwise, right? So maybe he was terrified of what's actually happened. Either that or Knudsen actually know what's going on and he tried to cover it but failed, right? But I doubt it. Um, I think he was just there for to fix the weather station in Denberg, right? But yeah, I think what Wainwright over here mean, I think, was that um, when they were in Zackenberg, their GPS worked, right? But once they were in Denberg, especially going in the cave, their GPS started to get get interrupted, right? And it's not working, right? And then he was also nervous. Maybe he was nervous that Wainwright actually will um, suspect him as sabotaging the expedition, right? But yeah, that's about it. And then transcript SCP-5830-D. Selected radio logs from Zackenberg Station. 313 February 13, 2019. Static. Cannot see home. It is dark. I was told I must perform my function. I must. I am. Message. Static. Okay, so I don't know what year this is. Probably 2020, but okay. Selected radio logs from Zackenberg Station. Okay. June 16, 20 something. GPS received at, okay. Okay, GPS reply, and then received again, and then reply again. And then static. Okay, and then June 16 again. Numbers, what are they? I do not know what they mean. I know them, 7 something and 2 something. Message, I must, this is not my message. Okay. Received, reply, another static, but this one is on October 20, okay. Um, I mean October 22, uh, the year is 20 something. Static, it is long, it is dark, I must, message, Harbinger must tell. Okay, that's actually creepy. um they just got these random radio logs, right? Like someone tried to reach out the radio station probably, but like maybe they succeed to receive or reply something, but it's not recorded, right? But yeah, um and then report 5830-E. Autopsy report of Erica Parson. Oh, okay. Erica is dead. Okay. SSN something. Home address something. TN. Tennessee, I guess. Age something years. Date of birth 19 something. Sex female. Last known occupation student. Race white. Hispanic? No. Marital status never married. Medical violent. Medical examiner authority violent. Police notified, yes. Investigator, something, something. Someone, I mean. Last known alive, day 24th of June, time 12:05, location Denberg Airstrip, city, country Denberg, by whom Danish officer. Event, injury, acute illness, still, 24th of June, but time is 12:06. Found 24th, 6, still, okay, time still there. Danish officer still. Death or pronounced 24 June 20 something, time 12:10, okay. Military doctor here, okay. Examination of body 28th of June at 9 o'clock, 603 17th Avenue, or FN, I guess, or AFN. Okay, location there, city by home. Okay, this is probably like their autopsy, right? Okay, autopsy, yes or no? Yes. Authorized by Chief Medical Examiner. Location there, cause of death, gunshot to chest and lower abdomen. Manner of death, self-defense. Oh, safe of self-defense, but she got gunshot to chest and lower abdomen. But it is a self-defense, so it was not, she shot herself, right? Okay. Uh, Notes from medical examiner. Dissident showed signs of previous blunt force trauma to head and neck, with small lacerations around the base of the neck. Toes and fingertips severely frostbitten. Majority of upper teeth chipped away partially or entirely. Dissident has no previous history of mental illness or violence. Name of chief, medical examiner, name of reviewing medical death investigator, something something. Okay, so that's about it. Footnotes: Zekenberg station is only occupied during the summer. Okay. Number four, a branch of the Danish Navy in charge of maintaining and enforcing Danish sovereignty in northern Greenland, the government of the constituent country of Greenland. And that's it. Okay, so this one is Kane right over here. So yeah, I guess it's Kane, not Abel. But yeah, that's about it for this SCP-5830. Um, so Erika died, right? I think what's going on over here, because it here, right, like it showed that showed signs of previous blunt force trauma to head and neck. So something or someone actually, like smashed her with either rocks or something, right? Either that or she slipped and fall, right? And then you know causing a bump in her head or neck, basically, right? And then small lacerations around the base of the neck. But there's the lacerations. Um, I think. And then there is majority of upper teeth chipped away partially or entirely. Okay, has no previous history of mental illness or violence. Okay, so what I'm getting from this is that she didn't actually kill herself. Um, she was actually murdered, right? But by whom? Um, my guess is probably from the animals. I think maybe like polar bear, right? Because we know that there is fur of polar bear over there, and then there is blood, right? The blood of seal. Um, Probably it's the polar bear. So because she ran away, right? Maybe she got lost, but unfortunately she met maybe like an animal, right? And then the animal attacked her. Maybe was hungry as well. Um, the animal tried to grab her neck basically from behind, leaving the lacerations, right, because of the claw. And then like the animal probably tried to smash her head into the rocks, probably to make her dead. And then the animal can eat her, probably. But she tried to defend, right? But I think what's going on over here is that she tried to defend, but she kind of missed the shot, I think, and shot herself. Probably, right? Either that or this animal, which probably came in more than one. Like maybe there were like three, animals. But it can also be something else, right? Like no animals, probably like creature, right? And then it probably snatched the guns and then instead shot her, right? And then she died. And then this also showed the chipped teeth chipped away, right? So maybe the creature that grabbed her neck smashed her skull or head into rocks, right? And then impacted on her teeth, therefore her teeth fall off, right? It must have been a painful death, to be honest, but okay, I guess. um the time of death as well, which is 24th of June, that is actually, I think that's longer than longer than this one, right? Yeah, June 23rd. um Basically Daniel already died, right? Like it's his last entry in the journal at the 23rd. um, at this point where when Kopek was already dead and then Daniel was about to die, Erika was actually still alive, surprisingly, right? But because it's already been days or weeks, I guess, or 1 week, she probably from this scenario, I think she got lost, right? She didn't manage to escape because um, it shouldn't take days, right, to go back. It maybe like only take a day, which at this point, like when she ran away, maybe like it in June 19, she already supposed to be out, right? But uh, she was not out just yet, and then later, like she probably met the creature, and then she died, right, on June 24th. But yeah, unfortunate story. At least we know what happened to her. But unfortunately, that she died, right, as well as other people as well that Knudsen tried to send in, right. But yeah, I guess that's it. We are not really sure about the like the true nature of SCP-5830, at least for now, right? Maybe they will reveal the story about the next expedition, I guess. Um, what I want to see is at least there will be another expedition from Wainwright, whatever the researcher name over here. I think, yeah, Wainwright. He sent his men, right, going in and research, right. I kind of want to read that, in the next entry or update. If the writer, read this or watch this video, I'm actually looking forward this to get updated to have the second expedition, right? This one is formal from the SCP Foundation, like the record and stuff like that. But the twist is that I still want to see some of the making terrible mistake as well, because it's basically their first expedition under the name of SCP Foundation, right? So yeah, I kind of want to see that, and then more mystery about this. Like the theory that I said in the beginning of the video. Like, but yeah, that's about it. My rate for this one, this is actually an interesting story, although it was not really original because um, it has reference to Frozen 2, like the Ahtohallan from the Frozen 2, obviously, right? But I'm still I still loving this just because it has story. It has creepy story as well. It is packed in details, and we have this like documents, interviews, and transcript and so on and so on. It's actually very cool, and I actually want to see more of this. Maybe if you update this probably for the next expedition, I actually want to know. And then like the true nature of SCP-5830 as well, because this is a Tomiel SCP, right? Which means that it is like I don't know what Tomiel means, but I think it's like an SCP of a higher being, right? Like it's like from higher being basically. So yeah, and this is actually a terrain SCP as well, or terrain SCP, which is it's actually a place, right? A very big place. So this is not a creature, this is not a person, this is not an object. This is a region or an area of SCP, right? Which is interesting. But yeah, solid. Love this one. 10 out of 10. Um, you know um it's actually great as well, like they mentioned the story of this first expedition over here, where they actually did terrible mistakes over terrible mistakes, right? Like they did a lot of mistakes, and then they basically doomed to their death, right? Because they were not prepared to what about to come, right? And this will be like a lesson, I guess, for everyone as well. If you're doing an expedition, especially like if you're going into cave that has not been recorded just yet, please be aware of that. Make up, like a solid procedures going in. make prepare and stuff like that. Although we know that this, right, this is the basic survival, right? But then again, this stuff alone is not enough apparently, right? So yeah, I will also want to see like again like the next expedition, but from SCP Foundation with more detailed of this, right, survival items, a lot of them, and then lots of people as well. But somehow they still manage to make mistake, and then lots of deaths as well. That's like what I'm like if it's possible in the future, that what I'm trying to like maybe we can go back to this and read again. But until then, thank you guys so much for watching. This has been SCP-5830. The next SCP will be random, right? The sixth SCP, I guess, because this is the fifth SCP, and this is part five, I believe, right? Yeah, I think this is part 5, but that's about it, I guess. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm really enjoying this. Yeah, again, this is solid. It has a creepy condition like atmosphere, uh, and it has story to tell as well. Like it's also cool because this is like a museum of SCPs basically, right? And then from the reference of Frozen 2, we know that this must have some kind of memories, right? And then we are not sure if there's actually someone or another SCP that can actually unlock all these memories and then show the true nature of every duplicate SCP or the dash tools that is found in this SCP-5830. But yeah, that's my final review. Really enjoy it. I hope you guys enjoy it too. I will see you again to like few days from now in the next episode of Racer Random SCP Review. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you again very very soon and see ya.